You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. My name is Arya, and this is your final NXT audio report for 2017. It is Wednesday night, December 27th. Thank you all for listening. The last episode of NXT this year kicked off with the Street Profits coming out, putting their recent winning streak on the line against the team of Chris Starr and Riley Apex, teaming up on NXT for the very first time. Can these two rookies put together what's needed to knock off the Street Profits? In a word, no. In longer words, they had no chance. The most entertaining part of this match was Nigel, for some reason, constantly referring to Riley Apex as JBL, mostly because, they do have a somewhat similar physique. Ford, though, decided to polish off the fake Bradshaw with the frog splash after an Angelo Dawkins lowdown. After the match, Angelo Montez went into the crowd to cut a promo. They vowed to conquer in 2018, dissing Sanity, Authors of Pain, and the Undisputed Era, saying they are coming for the Tag Team Championship. Speaking of championships, it was time for the women's title to be on the line as Raw's Sonya Deville challenged Ember Moon for the NXT Women's Championship. Now, you might recall that Asuka vacated the title when she was called up to Raw. You might be also a longtime listener/watcher and recall that Paige, once upon a time, also forfeited the NXT Women's title when she was called up to Raw. With that in mind, does anybody else think it's kind of funny that the entire angle is that Asuka had to vacate the title because she was getting called to the main roster? However, getting a title shot here is a woman from Raw. Since the whole point is, if she won the match, if Sonya Deville defeated Ember Moon and won the title, she would then be forced to vacate it, necessitating another tournament. This is one of those rules that just constantly are conveniently forgotten. It's like how when Paige vacated the title, they did a title tournament where 4 of the 8 women in the tournament were from the main WWE roster, which would have rendered the entire tournament moot if they won. Now, I've just spent 2 minutes ranting and raving about, this whole thing and why this makes no sense. And at the end of the day, to the shock of nobody, Ember Moon won. Deville did lock on a knee bar in the first 30 seconds, but Moon fought free. And that, though, was the closest Deville came to winning the match. The fans weren't really into Sonya Deville since no one really believed she was going to win the title. Ember's popularity is actually, and who knows, maybe this was just the end of a long night, and they did see some hot matches already. I don't know the order in which they taped these matches, so for all I know, this could very well have just come on right after the Pete Dunne Tyler Bate match from last week, and if so, it's certainly understandable, but it certainly seems that Ember Moon's popularity has gone down a bit since she won Asuka's women's title without ever actually beating Asuka. But we'll have to keep an eye out on that. After the match, Kyrie Sane came out. Oh, by the way, shockingly, Ember Moon retained the title with the Eclipse. Anyway, Kyrie Sane came out after the match to imply that she wanted a title shot. Moon seemed to imply that she was accepting, but Shayna Baszler debuted, appearing from out of nowhere and put Kyrie in a rear naked choke. Referees all ran out to finally pry the Queen of Spades off of the Pirate Princess, and Baszler has not forgotten the Mae Young Classic. Paul Ellering and the Authors of Pain were backstage. Ellering cut a promo about all the great things they have done before turning his attention to Undisputed Era. He said that they, the Authors of Pain, will write the next chapter. They are the law. They are the judge, the jury, and oh yes, they are the executioner. And he finished by saying that Undisputed Era is on borrowed time. Christy St. Cloud ran up to Ember Moon backstage to get her opinion on what just happened, talking about the women's match and not the Paul Ellering promo. I imagine, she probably thought it was a good Paul Ellering promo. I did, but no one cared about her thoughts on that. And as a matter of fact, Ember didn't really care about giving her thoughts about here either. And it came across to me that this may be the start of a heel turn. It might not be, but it certainly came across that way, as Ember did not really care or react to what Shayna did to Kyrie, and instead that they said that they both need to make a statement in the ring if they wanted a title shot. Next week is the first NXT of the new year, is a 2-hour NXT year in review. I will probably not be watching that. I will probably not be reviewing that. And since it's January 3rd, I will probably use that time to go to sleep early so I can wake up at 1:30 a.m. Eastern Time for the New Japan Wrestle Kingdom 12 show. Or if I do the show, I'm sure it'll be fine, great, fantastic, whatever. But anyway, the week after that, 2 weeks from today, on January 10th, Undisputed Era will defend their brand new NXT Tag Team Championship against the team they defeated when they go 2-on-2 with Sanity. Main event time. It is the Fatal 4-Way number 1 contenders match. It is Aleister Black, who has never been pinned on NXT television. It is Killian Dane, who has never been pinned on NXT television. It is Lars Sullivan, whose only losses were in tag team matches where his partner got destroyed and pinned. However, he has never been pinned on NXT television. And the fourth member of the match is Johnny Gargano, who may have won less than 10 matches on TV the entire year, at least after May anyway. Sullivan ran wild early on and caught both Black and Gargano when they both attempted suicide dives on him, and he threw them both into the ring apron, which, if you do recall, the ring apron is the hardest part of the ring. Surprisingly, when Killian Dane went for a suicide dive, Lars Sullivan did not catch him, and Dane stood tall early on. After the commercial break, Sullivan continued his dominance over Black and Gargano as he heaved both of them off the entrance ramp. The ramp is maybe 4 feet in the air, and the WWE production staff, who, say what you want about them, sometimes they are really, really good. And this was one of those times because they shot it low from the ground and made it look like Sullivan was this giant monster just tossing the denizens from the top of a building. Gargano and Black teamed up to do what they couldn't do by themselves as they kicked and kneed Sullivan, lying him across the announce table. Dane then appeared from out of nowhere with a running splash from the stage and threw Sullivan on said table. With Dane and Sullivan both down and out for a bit, this left Gargano and Black. The crowd were into both men. However, Gargano was clearly the crowd favorite. And in the minute or two these two wrestled, it was so good. It really made you want to see a full match with the two of them. And I hope one day we get to see that match. Dane appeared out of nowhere to break up a Gargano escape and then ran wild until they teamed up to drop Killian with a double-team powerbomb. At this point, Sullivan dragged himself to his feet and dragged himself back to the ring. He flung Black and Gargano from the ring and then squared off with Killian Dane in what was a true monster match as these two Goliaths just raged at one another. Black got his fifth win and booted each man over the place. He hit Sullivan with Black Mass and was about to win when suddenly Undisputed Era ran down to break it up. Black took out Fish and O'Reilly, but Cole got the best of him. Black ended up giving the big knee to the ring apron and then was laid out by an Adam Cole brainbuster. Gargano hit a suicide dive to Cole, which sent Undisputed Era running to the back. Outside the ring, Gargano threw Dane and Sullivan into the ring steps before hitting a slingshot DDT into the ring on Black. And yes, Johnny Gargano, who has had a roller coaster of a year to say the least, has finally won a big match. He is now your #1 contender for the NXT Championship. He will go on to NXT TakeOver Philadelphia and challenge Andrade Cien Almas for the NXT Championship. So that does it for this week. I do want to thank you all for listening. I hope you all have a safe and happy new year. Go out, have some fun this weekend, but be safe about it. And we'll be back here at the very worst case scenario. I'll be back in 2 weeks. Thank you all for listening, and I'll talk to you then.
You're listening to the Angry Marks Podcast Network.